What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua. This is Griff and Kamp. As you can see, Griff, it's here.
We've made it.
It's
We've
here.
made it. We're here.
It is here. UFC Fight Week for UFC 280.
Let's go, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Woo!
UFC lightweight title will be on the line as Islam Makhachev takes on Charles Oliveira for the vacant title. This will go down as one of, if not the best lightweight, at least going into it, Griff. It has got the build of who is the greatest lightweight of all time. Charles Oliveira, with a win, could go down as the GOAT of 155. Islam Makhachev is the protege of the suspected GOAT of 155, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, who will be in his corner. Griff, Oliveira, Makhachev, what say you?
I'm gonna start off with this. All right. There's been a lot of disrespect, a lot of shaming on a certain fighter from Brazil on his name. All right. If you look at the sports books right now, any of my sports betting fans out there, anyone out there who likes to put a little money, do a little gambling, if you were to check the books right now, guess who's the favorite?
Ooh, let's see. I would say just based off your attitude, your aura, your energy, it's not Charles Oliveira.
It's freaking the Dagestani fighter, my boy. It's the chin strap bandit. All right, they got him favorited over Charles Oliveira, and it's just the disrespect.
Charles Oliveira.
Charles Oliveira, do Bronx, anything you want to call him. All right, and whatever you call him, make sure you call him champ at the end of
the
it.
The champion has a name.
Yes, he does. All right, this is going to be. The buildup is insane. The energy of surrounding this card is so phenomenal. It is pristine, and I cannot wait for this fight. Everyone who's a fan, who's a casual, who even just heard the name Dana White in passing, they are looking forward to this fight, and things are gonna be put right when Charles Oliveira walks into that octagon on Saturday.
These two are two of the best right now. They're both on tremendous win streaks, 10 fights each. You're looking at a matchup here, and you say, okay, you got Charles Oliveira, most finishes, most submissions, most post-fight awards in UFC history. We know if it goes to the ground, he's going to lock you up, choke you, make a tap, twist, bend, something. But we've also know with Islam Makhachev from Dagestan out there in the mountains wrestling bears, we know if he gets you down, smash, not smash, smash. And it is not going to be fun. These guys, they're a different breed. Yes. Me and you have been watching fights for a long time. We've seen a lot of wrestlers, a lot of jiu-jitsu guys. These guys from the mountains, they come with a different level of grappling. It will be interesting to see. Oliveira has said he's not afraid to go to the ground. In fact, if you want, I'll start off on the ground with them. Islam is like, hey, if we go to the ground, I'm looking to submit him. I would love it. Granted, it's a mixed martial arts fight, but I would love it if these two did have a round and a half where they literally just said, yeah, we're going to throw some strikes. Let's go to the ground and let's see what it is. Is it going to be your style versus my style? Which one is it going to be that preserves? I am thrilled that we are here. I hope no hiccups happens and everybody makes weight. Oliveira did miss weight his last time out against Justin Gaethje, half a pound. But nonetheless, the champion has a name.
A disgrace.
It is a disgrace, but right now it is going to be something to watch. Now, Griff, if you were to do a breakdown of how this fight might go, or at least the ins and outs of what each fighter needs to do, you don't need to give every single one because I'm here as well. But what are some of your highlights as far as, hey, if this guy wants to find victory, these are the keys for him?
It's going to be everyone who's waiting for this fight is all under the assumption that this is going to be a grappling showdown. This is going to be whose style of grappling, whose ground game is better. And people, we've seen what Do Bronx has done. We've seen what he's done to the likes of Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, he actually got that one done on the feet. I don't know if you remember.
He did.
It's been a minute. But we accredited Charles Oliveira. We've seen what he's done. But then you go over to Islam Makhachev, and it's the whole hype around he's the protege of Khabib. He has that same smash style of grappling.
He does.
It's, and people automatically assume maybe this is why he's the favorite. Maybe because of the fact that he rocks the chin strap beard. Maybe the fact that he beats the hell out of bears in the offseason. That's why he's such a favorite right now. But I understand the style. I understand the hype a little bit. But in this showdown, in this match, Charles Oliveira, he's not going to be panicking. He's not going to be freaking out if the fight does go down to the ground, where Islam definitely wants to take it, because he's been there, baby. He's been there. He doesn't care to be on the floor. Hell, he likes it. He wants to be on. He wants Islam to get that top position, because Lord knows he's ready to do as much damage as he needs to do from any position. And of course, we've seen what Islam kind of looked like on his feet. You know, he's got a couple of scraps standing on the feet, but he does have one disgusting knockout. He got slept, and I don't know about you, but I like Charles Oliveira's stand game. I like his hands. I like his stand-up game. I think in this fight, Oliveira just needs to do what he's been doing. He needs to change it up a bit, because granted, as much credit as we give the man from Brazil, the last 3 opponents who were impressive, they were known as more strikers. They were more strikers than wrestlers.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you got to fight who you have to fight. But you also have to give credit to someone like Islam, who, yes, he's got the hype behind him because of who his coach is and who his training partner is. But he's lived up to it every step of the way. He's been knocked out, sure, but let's not go over some of the losses Charles Oliveira has had, and to some of the opponents he had. It's almost like, wait, you lost to him? That's part of the fight game. You fight in here against some of the best in the world. Time to time you're going to lose, unless your name is like John Jones or something. You're going to lose. But when you look at someone like Islam, his strength, his cardio, the fact that he can go out there, wrestle with anyone, put on a pace that a lot of people cannot handle. Griff, we've talked about on this show before. There is something about somebody. There's something when you're in the fight and your opponent is constantly coming forward at you, constantly pushing forward, constantly applying pressure on you. Now, we've seen in the last handful of fights, Oliveira take that same stance where he is a Terminator. He's coming directly at you. He's a full blown ahead. Fists are flying. Knees are coming up. Kicks, everything. Will these two guys meet in the center of cage and see who backs up first? Will these guys take it to the ground? In some ways, Griff, we've seen if you're two highly skilled grapplers, that might cancel each other out. And we might see a stand-up bout between these two. And if it becomes a stand-up bout, Charles Oliveira forward style of just, hey man, I'm going for broke, I'm swinging for the fences, to Islam style of playing in my base, getting a strong foot in, twisting, turning the shoulders, spinning the hip. I mean, we might see these two just decide to stand up and go at it. That'll be something either way.
Some for sure, yeah.
Standing or going to the ground, this should be, because we never know.
Never know in this world.
But this should be one of the best fights we've ever seen at 155, just based off their resume and what these two can do in the cage.
Absolutely. A stand-up fight, I'd be very shocked to see it. I know for a fact that both these men do want to eventually get to the mat, get into the technique that's gotten them to this point, and really put on a show on the ground. But the thing is, when you look at this fight, you really have to say to yourself, both men's style, who is more equipped to handle the other? And I believe that outside all the hype,
they both are though.
They both are.
They both are though, Griff.
I'd make the argument.
They both are.
You can make the argument though that Charles, he's his style and the way he's been winning fights, that's a little bit more equipped to take on a guy who wants to constantly push the pace, pressure, get you up on the cage, get you on the ground, maul you. Yes, Charles Oliveira, we've seen in fights where guys will he wants to get knocked to the ground. He wants to be on his back.
Oh, trust me, he don't want to get knocked to the ground. He don't mind going to the ground, but he don't want to get knocked to the ground. You can only take so many on the chin.
He goes fully onto the ground on the back, looking up at the fighter, and he's saying, please come at me.
And all it takes is one of those to land, and you go night-night, to where when you're on the ground, you're not looking up, you looking back, because your eyes don't roll to the back like you the Undertaker. Yes. I get what you're saying, but Griff, the reason this fight is so anticipated, and we're so looking forward to it, these guys are equally scared, different ways slightly, but equally skilled. Cardio, who do you give the advantage to? They both can go for days.
They're both
grappling, different grappling styles.
Yes.
Both go for days. Does Charles Oliveira use strength when he's on the ground? No, he uses technique, he uses angles. Whereas Islam, we've seen at times, he just flat out bullies you and just says, grab this arm, and I'm just going to twist it the way I want it to go. You can fight it all you want to.
Right.
Standing up. different styles. Islam wants to try to sit there more of a power puncher, whereas Oliveira, I just want to go volume, kind of like the Diaz brothers, just volume on you. Maybe every punch I throw doesn't have all my strength behind it, but the accuracy and the surprisingness of it, I'm just going to keep throwing it at you. So they're very much evenly matched and equipped to handle each other. That's why it's so intriguing. What is going to give? Is the ground game going to cancel each other out? Because both know just how dangerous the other one is, and they do the stand up a little bit more than what we expect. Do they go to the ground and look? Oliveira's good top or bottom, but then Islam we've only seen on top. What happens if Oliveira's on top? Does he know how to react? We've seen a lot of times from wrestlers. You put them on their back, it's like a turtle on the shell. They kind of don't know what to do. So it's going to be very interesting on what happens and how this all transpires and who has the full-on advantage. You got to think, Oliveira's been in more bigger fights.
Yes.
But then at the same time, of the guys he's beaten, none of the guys were as strong as Islam. None of the guys had the backing like Islam. Because you also got to think, there's something that goes into having someone great like Khabib in your corner. Just like when Greg Jackson Winklejohn's training camp was at its full peak. George St. Pierre, Holly Holm, John Jones. There's something having that great corner behind you and how they prepare you mentally, how they get you ready, and how they keep you focused. So even though Islam hasn't been in those big main events fights, he's got the backing that has been there from coaches, training partners, and fighters to say, hey, buddy, you were made for this. You're ready for this. So when you step in there, those lights ain't too bright. That blonde hair he's sporting over there ain't too much. Those tattoos he's got on, him coming forward at you, you ready for it. But then at the same time, there is levels to this. And Charles Oliveira has shown right now, there's nobody on his level. Is Islam? We shall see come Saturday.
There's a difference between being told you're made for this and going out and actually proving you're made for this.
Very true.
Do Bronx. Say it for me, baby. Charles
Oliveira.
He's shown he's made for this. He's proven it, and it's time to prove it again and right that wrong that happened in Arizona. It's time to get that belt back, baby. Let's go.
Now, that's one title that is on the line in UFC 280. There is another title that is on the line. In the co-main event, we will see Aljamain Sterling putting the bantamweight title on the line against former champion TJ Dillashaw. These two foes turned rivals now going to collide with one another. Sterling, Funkmaster, taking on Dillashaw. What are your thoughts on the co-main event?
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be super interesting. This one is going to be, I think a lot of the questions around Aljamain Funkmaster, they've been answered. He's been in wars. He's been battle tested in very recent time. We've seen it. Now, TJ Dillashaw is interesting. Old, as Conor McGregor would call him, old snake in the grass. 2-year layoff from suspension. Yeah,
he popped out for an injected steroid. He fessed up to it. He served his 2-year suspension. Now he's back in the fold. And look at him. Hey, I served 2 years, but I'm back in the title picture. I guess me taking the steroids, I'll use parentheses because of how I feel about PEDs in sports, but I guess that wasn't all steroids on how I was good. Maybe I do have legit skills to be on this level.
I mean, 2-year layoff, you come back, you fight Corey Sandhagen.
No easy slouch.
No easy slouch.
Top 5.
No easy slouch. But it was a very close match. It went down to the judges. It was, I believe, it was not a blowout win by any means.
But he also had a 2-year layoff.
2-year layoff. And then an injury kept him, how long has it been now? Another year?
Another year. So, TJ's been away for quite a bit.
There is a thing called ring rust, all right? And I believe it is real. It could
According to Dominic Cruz, it's not real.
Dominic Cruz?
According to Dominic Cruz, it's not real.
The guy who just got
Well, hold on. Wins and losses is one thing. We're not talking about whether you win or lose. Right. We're just talking about how you look when you're out there. He looked good. Dominic Cruz might have got KO'd, but he looked good. It's not like he was just over the match. He got caught. John Jones, don't believe in it. He's he's had a lot of time off, Griff. He comes back every time he wins.
Well, I would say this, my boy. No matter what it is, whenever what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to win a UFC title, whether you're trying to build a birdhouse, whether you're trying to run a marathon, you don't get better at something by not doing it. All right. The more practice, the better you are. And the fact is that as good as TJ Dillashaw is, steroids or not, the man has been very absent, all right? Not just in the 2-year suspension, but in this previous year where he's had to recover from the injury. Now, it's interesting now that he's walking into a title shot with the Funkmaster. it's just going to be a issue of, is he ready for it? Has he had enough time to bring back those skills, learn how to be as effective and put out great performances without the steroids as he did? Is he ready to do that without the steroids? Like, we don't know. And it's such a big question around TJ that this is why I feel like this is part of the anticipation for this fight. Because don't get me wrong, it might be overshadowed by the fact of the main event, but this is still a big fight. This is still a big moment. TJ Dillashaw back in the title contention is huge.
Oh, no, this speaks volumes to what type of athlete he is, what type of mindset he has, his character, his training camp, and how they are to get him to this position. It also speaks to just not the level, but how the bantamweight division has been, where depending who the champion is, it's almost been cleaned out of top contenders, because every time one is right there, Corey Sandhagen, bam, TJ Dillashaw comes in and upsets them. So you throw in the fact that, hey, Peter Yan is no longer there, Jose Aldo's retiring, now Aljamain Sterling, Funkmaster, as the new champion. It is going to be interesting to see what is the dynamics of TJ Dillashaw when he steps in there. But then you look at his matchup against Aljamain Sterling, and I'm telling you, Griff, this is one of those where you feel like it's a video game. They both are very unorthodox. The way that they decide to go about their attack, Aljamain Sterling stand up, you don't know where he's throwing this stuff, where his kicks and punches are coming from. Exactly. Very unorthodox, but in a sense, it's kind of like when you see someone who has a messy desk, and yet when they step back, it all makes sense to them. That's kind of Aljamain's attack approach. It looks crazy. I'm going to throw a bunch of weird stuff at you, but it's all to set you up, because if you react this way, I'm going to grab that leg, take you down. If you react this way, I'm going to come over the top with the right hand. If you react this way, I'm going to throw a body kick. So it's one of those where when you're watching it from the outside, what is this guy doing? But then you sit there and you will look at what his next move or 2 moves later is, and you're like, oh, he's playing chess, not checkers. Then TJ Dillashaw, I'm going to keep switching stands. I'm going to go up and down. I'm going to change levels. I'm going to come in. I'm going to come out. I'm going to dip you down. Then I'm going to knock you out one good time, maybe twice if you're Cody Garbrandt. But it's just one of those where you say, okay, what is going to work? Because this is almost like the same. They both are collegiate level wrestlers. Aljamain Sterling was D3. TJ Dillashaw was D1. I gotta tell you what, when I watched the countdown, that kind of made me say, wait, because TJ kept pointing it out. Well, he's a D1 wrestler, and no, he's a D3 wrestler. I'm a D1 wrestler. I'm gonna show him what I. And Aljamain's like, dude, this isn't a wrestling match. You know who's another guy who kept bringing up his opponent's wrestling pedigree from college?
What's that?
Tyrone Woodley, when he defended his title against Kamaru Usman. Griff, how did that matchup between Woodley and Usman for the title go?
I'll make it brief. One of the fighters is considered one of the greatest GOATs in the UFC at the welterweight division, and the other one, his last time we saw him, he got knocked out by Jake Paul.
I mean, no,
yeah.
I mean,
just he took that.
He got surfboarded. He got surfboarded.
He did.
So it's one of those where you said, when I saw that, mentally I said, Griff, I think Aljamain Sterling might win. Because if your mindset is, I need to go in there and prove. Now, granted, we've seen guys like Daniel Cormier when he took on Patrick Cummings, and Patrick was saying how he made DC cry in training camp and in practice, and DC said, "Oh, really? You broke the rule. We're not supposed to talk about training, but okay." And then he went in and just starched him. Yep. We go either way, but I'm very intrigued to see how this is. I think I want to give a little bit of an edge to Aljamain Sterling. But at the same time, TJ Dillashaw is a monster.
He's a monster. But I'm agree with you. I like Funkmaster in this one. I wish I could. I mean, I do want to see TJ. The UFC is just a better product when TJ Dillashaw is fighting and is active. I will say that. But the problem is, I just watching his fight with Sandhagen. It was a good fight. He did look impressive coming off from such a long layoff. But 2 years off and then an injury and another year off. I have a hard time seeing Aljamain Sterling not winning the belt that night.
Griff, you mentioned something I was going to segue into our next fight. You said exciting. I said monster. The fight before the co-main event, we got a monster taking on someone exciting.
Oh man,
Sugar Sean O'Malley stepping up to the plate, fighting the big fight, taking on former bantamweight champion Peter Yan, the boogeyman himself. The biggest step up, the biggest fight in Sean O'Malley's career. Sugar Sean O'Malley, 15-1. He came into the UFC off Dana White's Contender Series. He has been nothing but a rising star ever since, both in the cage and outside. Peter Yan, former champion, trying to get back into the winner's circle. Dana White has said the winner of this will get a title shot at the winner of Dillashaw Sterling. Yan, O'Malley. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if you're watching, Dana, but I hope you are. I hope you're a fan of the franchise because I'm
How
gonna
can
talk
you
to you
not be?
direct. I'm gonna talk to you directly. Why are you doing my boy O'Malley like this? Why? All right. Look at me. I am a Sugar Sean O'Malley believer, fanatic.
Okay.
I love the man. I love the crazy hair. I love the twitch. I love all of it. This was too soon. This is too soon. I'm saying it right now. I'm telling you right now. This was too soon. All right. We're gonna bring slowly. Hamza, we'll bring him up slowly. Patty Pimblett, we'll bring him up slowly. He can have enough. We'll bring him up so slow he can eat burgers in his offseason and look like a goddamn heavyweight. All right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But
It's just they threw my man Sean O'Malley. I mean, granted, trust me, there's no regret on his side. He is absolutely. I know for a fact he wanted this. He's been wanting this. He wants a chance. He's ready to throw his name in there for title contention and be considered one of the best in his division. But the thing is, it's Petr Yan. Petr Yan has been in wars. Petr Yan is the number 1 ranked contender. He's an animal. I mean, as big of a fan of Sugar Sean O'Malley as I am, I can recognize the fact that he hasn't built to this. Who did he fight? Who built him to be ready to face the number 1 contender?
Well, first off, he's 7-1 in the UFC.
That's not
8. Hold on, that's 8 fights. How many more fights do you need? Brock Lesnar only needed 3 to be the UFC heavyweight champion. So how many more fights do we need? How many no-namers, guys who don't even have Wikipedia pages, are we going to put it in against Sean O'Malley before we say, step up and fight somebody of worth? You want to be a big shot. O'Malley is mega star. He is a phenomenal fighter.
He's up there for sure.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, we can only put you on UFC Fight Pass so much. We can only put you on ABC cards so much. If you are this big star who requires the big stage, the big audiences, you got to fight the big guys. Look at your boy Conor McGregor. It didn't take him long once he got going to step into the big arenas. At some point, I got to throw you into the deep end. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. Now, I like Sugar Sean O'Malley. I really do. But at some point, you have to be tested. And what better way to test you than to say,
Petr Yan,
I'm going to give you one of the most scariest dudes in the division. Once you go against the former champion. But here's the thing, though, Griff. Petr Yan just came off of 2 losses. One was a disqualification because of an illegal knee.
Yes. But
But then he gets dominated in the rematch, or not necessarily dominated, but he loses fairly convincingly in the rematch. Mentally, Petr Yan may not be able to recover yet. Remember Francis Ngannou, when he lost to Stipe Miocic, he was Francis Ngannou knocking everyone out. Mm-hmm. And then Stipe goes in there and starches him, beats him for 5 rounds. When he fought Derek Lewis next, he was a shell of himself. He was shell-shocked, scared to throw punches. Could that be Petr Yan? O'Malley is another one who's unorthodox, throws from weird angles. He's got good accuracy and timing, got good power. He might catch Petr Yan, who again, like we're talking about O'Malley stepping up too quick. Peter might be saying, I'm the number 1 contender. I'm a former champion. This guy's not ready for me. Overlooking him, whoop, pop, bam, get the 3-piece and a soda with the cheesecake on the side. That does sound good right now. And next thing you know, Sugar Sean O'Malley just got the biggest win of his career.
it's a storybook. It's a storybook little story you're spilling right here, my boy. I would love it. I would love to see Sugar Sean O'Malley take on, hell, Conor McGregor talked to Sean O'Malley himself. He said he was next up, all right? And if the Irish Gorilla gives him the stamp of approval, well, I will too. And I'm a big fan of the man. I just, maybe call me, I'm too close to it. I'm too close to the topic. You know, I got too much of my heart in it. I see O'Malley is my boy. I want to see him have the most success possible. And I want to see this Sugar Show train keep going. And my biggest concern is just last time we saw him, I would argue that the best person we've seen O'Malley face so far in his UFC career has been Chito. And what happened with Chito?
Yeah. But here's the thing. What did we speak about earlier with Dominic Cruz, also lost to Chito, and others? Charles Oliveira has 8 losses. Mm-hmm. Islam's been slept. Dude, you do not go through this sport unscathed. It's very rare, and that's partly what made John Jones's run so special. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait, this dude hasn't lost? I mean, technically he has a loss on there, but from an illegal elbow, which is stupid, by the way. Do you know why 12-6 is an illegal elbow?
Why is that?
So when the UFC was first getting started, they were trying to figure out all the rules. The commissioners at the time in the 90s saw somebody break bricks with their elbows. Oh, you can't do that to a human face, so we gotta outlaw that. Now, granted, if we're standing up, I can elbow you straight on, but I can't elbow you straight down. I could punch you as hard. I could take a Francis Ngannou or Derek Lewis fist right into your face. But if you're on the ground, can't do the elbow. Get the f- out of here. But nonetheless, that is a story of why it's an illegal elbow. Outside of that, John Jones has ran through everybody. That's why it's like, wait, he's never lost. Everyone else has lost, Griff. You can't name anybody else with more than 5 fights, against top contenders who's undefeated. So for someone like O'Malley, it's like, look, even if you lose, look at McGregor. He's lost several times. Still the biggest draw.
You had to? You had to say it?
well, you brought him up. No, but I'm just saying, he's still the biggest draw.
He's a big draw.
Ronda Rousey has a couple losses.
Yes.
If she was to come back, big draw. Amanda Nunes has losses, big draw. Losses in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, are not as effective towards your career as they are in boxing, which I absolutely love and can appreciate it. And can love and appreciate. So I'll put it like this. Even if Sean O'Malley loses, if he goes out there and puts on a great performance and shows that maybe I wasn't able to get the victory, but I'm ready for this level of competition, his star even rises even more, because now when he takes on the next guy, it's like, okay, I'm coming out here from a revenge. Or he goes out there and starches Peter Yan, and we got another number one contender in Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Another star in our hands.
UFC 280, folks, it is going to be off the absolute chain. It is going to be wild and crazy. Oliveira, Makhachev, Sterling, Dillashaw, Yan, O'Malley, and so much more on the card. Ooh. Crazy start time, though. It is at 11 a.m., so make sure you guys set your alarms, go out there, get to the sports bars, wherever you may watch it at. Be sure to get there early, because it is going to be a doozy.
Absolutely.
Griff, speaking of doozies, let's do a complete 180 really quick here as we wrap up the show here, the main event on Franchise Sports Media. Boxing just took place, and man, oh man, was it a fun-filled weekend. I don't want to seem like I'm running through these unjustly, but just really quick, Caleb Plant knocks out Andre Durrell with a vicious left hook combination. Caleb Plant, who many people felt before the end against Canelo, was winning. This is a guy who, once again, even though he lost, many people felt that not only was he winning, he showed he's ready for that level of competition. With this knockout, hey, what does he do next? Does he take on Benavidez? Does he take on one of the Choro brothers? It is very interesting to see what is next for Caleb Plant. He's shown that he's can compete with the best of the best. It's going to be a fun ride to see him take on other top contending stars. Speaking of fun rides, we saw Deontay Wilder. Bomb Squad!
Absolutely, just
starch. First round KO. You're wondering, hey man, he's lost 2 to Tyson Fury, and what's going to happen? Oh, he's gone back down to 216 pounds. He's skinny. He looks frail. Hey, brother. People
forgot what Deontay Wilder is, brother.
Left hand sends you to the hospital. Right hand sends you to the cemetery. Deontay Wilder is back. Absolutely phenomenal victory by Deontay Wilder. Just sets him up personally. Does he take on Andy Ruiz next?
He has to. He has to. There's been talks of a fight between him and Ruiz. Possibly the winner of that gets a shot at old Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King.
The Gypsy King might bless him.
You think Deontay Wilder's not chomping at the bit to get back in there with that ball? He just beat a guy who looked just like Tyson Fury. He wants to get back in there.
He did. Mentally, he said, I want someone. Yeah, mentally, I got to visualize. I got to say this, though. I really want to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And now that neither one of them are champions, I kind of feel it's one of those matches. Hey, guys, just make it. It's still going to be big.
Let's not forget, Usyk is still out there. All right?
Usyk is still out there.
We still got Usyk around here. He's no scrub now.
This man fought in the war, so I would not bash him for taking too long to fight Tyson Fury. He fought in the war, so I'm not going to bash him whatsoever for taking his time. You do that, brother. Much respect.
Yes, sir.
But Deontay Wilder came back. Devin Haney just so can boast. Oh, brother, that wasn't a stroke of luck or genius. No. I'm just a better fighter than you. It's time for him to move on to take on other top guys. Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, this guy, that guy, this person, that person, Lomachenko, Lopez. It's a lot of guys in that division for him to take on. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But let's really give all the love and roses to the ladies who went overseas across the pond. Full women's card that was absolutely phenomenal. Headlined by Carissa Shields, becoming the first male or female 3-division undisputed champion in 3 different divisions. She's won all the belts. No one's ever done that. We've had 2. We've had 1, 3. It was a phenomenal match against Sarah Marshall, the last woman to beat her. These two went at it from the start bell to the end. It was a phenomenal showing by these two. Clarissa Shields, the GWOAT, the greatest woman of all time. Phenomenal showing right there. It was one of those where I just said, hey, Griff, you know what? They did it right by doing it overseas. For some reason, here in America, we don't appreciate women's combat sports as much as we should. Women's MMA is a little bit more, but I feel like with women's boxing, no. They were in UK, and Griff, I'm telling you, man, you would have sworn it was one of the big men's fights from over here.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal energy. I hope they do more.
Anyone who's still sleeping on the females when it comes to combat sports, you're kidding yourself, all right? You're starving yourself of some of the greatest fights and performances. The women are out here and they're nasty and they are champs. This is some of the best fights in the world you'll see is when the two fighters are females and they are just when it comes to women in combat sports, they've been doing it. This isn't new.
But no, not at all.
They've been doing this. They've
in fact,
been
women's
making
sports
history.
in general, women's soccer, women's basketball. Shout out to the Las Vegas Aces.
Yes, baby.
Okay, you got women's MMA, women's boxing. Women are showing, women's college basketball. They're showing softball. They're showing you, hey, we can go.
Yes, sir.
We can go. Sure,
Yes, sir.
maybe we don't get all the knockouts like Deontay Wilder does, but who really does? I mean, this dude has knocked out everyone he's faced besides Tyson Fury, and he's knocked him down 5 times.
I mean, you ask Amanda Nunes about a knockout, she could tell you a thing or two.
Oh,
You
man.
ask these women.
If the day ever comes where Amanda Nunes and Clarissa Shields meet in the cage, that's going to be something right
That
there.
one, let's go ahead and buy tickets to that one. You and me.
Oh yeah. We definitely got to be in the house. We definitely got to be in the house.
Maybe
Well, I
we
don't
can
know
get in
about
the corner.
I don't know about front row, man. I mean, front row of like the second tier of
second
seats. Maybe that we can do. But Griff, it's been a phenomenal show, my man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua.
I'm Griff and Kemp.
Thank you guys. Till next time, fight fans. Peace.